what I bring to the conversation is, okay, now we're in this meeting. What do we do? What do we do this time? There's the technology we're using, but what are the specific things we do? And so one of the ones in the book, and this is what this was about. I didn't plan to write a book on remote team building, but what I realized after doing a couple videos on YouTube about team building activities, writing a few articles and HBR, people kept on reaching out like, okay, what do I do here? And so here we are in these meetings. Now, what do we do? And so the first one I have is what I call the 1-6 rule, is that for every hour of meeting time, virtually, and this implies in person as well, 10 minutes of it or 1/6 of it should be used for relationship building, right? Like even for us, Faye, when we got on, we talked for 5 minutes beforehand, we checked in, we talked about a few things, and then we jumped into the content. We always want to make time for connection before content and always make time for gratitude before goodbye. So the 1/6 rule. So for every hour of meeting time, 10 minutes to be used for relationship building. For 2 hours, 20 minutes. 3 hours, no one should have a 3-hour virtual meeting. That's inhumane. Okay, so we don't actually want to do that. And that's in person as well. Now, during that 1/6, what do we use that time for? Now, many times when people are joining the call, we always want to start with a welcome question. When people get on, and one of my favorite ones I think should be in every single work virtual meeting is, what were you doing 5 minutes before the call today? What were you doing 5 minutes before the call? And the reason why, specifically in the hybrid world, is that when people answer this in the chat, maybe you got 10 different people on our call, is the whole reason why we're asking this question is to remind ourselves that people are coming from something. And they're going to be going to something afterwards. Hey, I was just making lunch. I just was finishing up a report for so-and-so. I was trying to get this together. I just came back from a doctor's appointment. What I was doing 5 minutes before, for me, I was like cramming down a peanut butter and banana sandwich because I hadn't eaten anything from the previous meeting, and then eating an apple afterwards. So I had some sort of sustenance in my body before I went into this meeting today, right? It gives us a reminder that people are living a life outside of our virtual call. That's part of it. And then also using pulse check questions. When we get on, and especially if you have a multiple group of people, and both of these activities are in my book, is asking people and saying, hey, let's on a scale of 1 to 10 today, what's your energy level? And just using a pulse check question. And then they put their answer into the chat, and then people put the numbers up there. Like, what was your energy level today? How are you feeling about your ability to keep up with your work right now? And people put their answers. Then as a manager, we can then ask anybody, does anyone want to explain why they picked the number they did and why? And then you can do that. Now, many people say, Chris, I can't do these things. If I ask that question at the beginning of the meeting, we're going to spend 45 minutes answering these questions and we'll never get to what we actually are in the meeting for. Now, this is where you have to make that understanding that we are going to do this for the first 10 minutes. And that's it. And you make that a standard thing. Now, for many leaders, when they're coming into those meetings, I always say, keep 2 cups on your desk and then put the names of all the people on your team into those cups. Okay. And then what you do is at each meeting, I may go and say, I asked the question, people answer the question in the chat. Then I pick a name and I go, okay, Faye, you answer the question out loud. You come on, you answer the question. And then we wrap up. Everyone's answered in the chat. Everybody listen to one person's answers. I move your name to the other cup there. And then I keep track of who's participating or not. And it's also a great way to be able to pick people out and say, hey, so who has thoughts on such and such question that we're working on? I grab a name and then everybody's like, oh crap, attention. So it's a great way to encourage participation. But you can do that. You can use welcome questions. And one of the handouts, and I don't know if I have it on my site right now, is like 35 welcome questions that you can use in your meetings. And these are, like I said, they're in the book. And this is one of the handouts from the book. So you keep those on your desk. And I need to come up with a question. I look down at the sheet and say, get to know you questions. Are you the oldest, middle, or youngest child in your family? And then open up a conversation about that. So we're learning about people. And one of the videos that I just recorded today that's going to go on YouTube, maybe this week or next week, is to stop organizing virtual happy hours. Stop putting people up there and asking them to say, hey, you know what, let's meet up after work to build relationships. Instead, build it into things we're doing. Have those happy hours or have those meetings or those networking events during work hours, not asking people to choose between spending time with their family and spending time with their coworkers outside of work. Build it into work time, because what we commit time to signals to our people what we think is important.